So, Colin Jost humiliated Meghan Markle on live TV, and everyone lost their minds. This was during a Saturday Night Live episode, and let's just say he went swinging. During the show, Colin took a brutal swipe at Meghan, saying that Trump's new UK trade deal involves ditching Meghan and Harry altogether.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
As expected, the crowd erupted, but it wasn't just a joke. Because now, fans are saying that it was a loaded shot at Meghan's alleged past and the resurfaced yacht photos that have been haunting her image for years. And just like that, Colin turned Meghan Markle from a duchess to a punchline. Live, raw, and unapologetic. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't soft. It was a very public reminder that no matter how polished her PR may be, the past always finds a way back, especially when it involves those photos. So, how did Meghan react? Let's find out. This was not the first time Collins took a jab at Meghan and Harry. Nope, there's already a long list before he even dropped this massive shade. For instance, he made fun of Meghan during the holiday, saying,
"A Christmas photo released by the royal family features a bad Photoshop job where Prince Louis's finger appears to be missing. And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need it."
And within minutes, Reddit threads were lit up. X was running wild. People weren't just laughing, they were connecting dots. And suddenly, those long buried yacht photos from the mid-2000s started floating back to the surface. Now, these weren't new. They'd been whispered about for years. Fuzzy shots of a woman who looks eerily like Meghan, lounging on a luxury yacht, surrounded by men in suits, influencers with too many followers, and champagne bottles that cost more than rent. Okay, there's no official confirmation yet, but it looks like people don't need to wait for any because whenever it comes to Meghan, almost everyone is eager to hear more. At first glance, nothing scandalous, but as always, the devil's in the details. The woman wasn't tagged, there was no name, but facial comparisons, timestamps, and a whole lot of social media sleuthing placed her there, right in the middle of a world she's since tried to erase. The sunglasses, the outfit, the guest list. It didn't scream struggling actress, it whispered access. And access, as everyone knows, doesn't just fall into your lap. It's earned, or arranged. Now, this is pretty much connected with the Suitcase Girl days. You know, for the popular game show where you're asked, deal or no deal? And get this, Meghan actually talked about why she left the show, and as ironic as it might sound, she mentioned how she didn't want to be objectified.
I ended up quitting the show. I was so much more than what was being objectified on the stage. I didn't like feeling forced to be all looks and little substance.
People were not very happy about that part of his past. And by the looks of it, Colin is making sure no one forgets, as he continues to take not very subtle jabs at Meghan whenever he gets the chance to. That's when the theories started spiraling. Was Meghan's fairy tale rise to royalty really as organic as she claimed? Or was it a carefully orchestrated climb? Each party, each connection, each appearance laying the groundwork for the next big leap. And let's be honest, Meghan didn't just stumble into the royal family. She didn't just fall into Prince Harry's lap. She mapped the terrain. She played the game. At least, that's what the narrative had been. In fact, everyone had been talking about how Meghan allegedly made sure to secure her place as a princess next to Harry. And now, the internet wants receipts. So when Colin Jost on live television casually joked that the UK would not want to take Meghan back, like ever.
King Charles will visit Kenya next week, where he is expected to acknowledge Britain's role in the slave trade and unfortunately attempt to return Meghan.
It wasn't just a joke, it was an indictment. A callback to a version of Meghan that the public wasn't supposed to remember, because Meghan didn't just delete an account, she deleted an entire identity. Gone were the posts, gone were the tags. Entire online trails vanished. Former friends, silent. Associates, unreachable. Co-stars, no comment. Something about that doesn't sit right. What's even more disturbing is that the people who used to be loud about knowing Meghan have gone mysteriously quiet. The influencers who once shared yacht selfies, the stylists who tagged her in party photos, the assistants, the acquaintances, the just happened to be there's gone, either signed to NDAs or wiped off the map. And Meghan, not a word, no clarification, no publicist statement, not even a vague Instagram story about misinformation or online toxicity. Which is strange because this is the same Meghan who took the Daily Mail to court over publishing a private letter. The same woman who fought back against every rumor, every headline, every whisper. But now, silence. And in the digital age, silence is its own kind of confession. People aren't mad that she had a past. They're mad that she hid it. Because Meghan Markle branded herself as authentic, relatable, a woman of the people. But these resurfaced images and strategic deletions tell another story, one that looks a whole lot more curated than honest. That's the difference. That's the reason people are calling it a betrayal. Because it's not just one photo, it's the growing pattern. A pattern of erasure, of reinvention, of total control over what people are allowed to know. And nope, the media is not letting her off the hook so easily. And yes, it's not only Colin. There's been a lot of narrative about how Meghan is trying to brand herself as the victim, as someone who was left with no choice but to step away from her royal duties. However, people were not easy to convince, and they made sure to be vocal about it. And as forums dig deeper, things only get messier. Take, for example, the image at the center of all this. Now, there's been no proper confirmation where the photo was from, or if it even exists, but words on the street are enough to give us a description. Allegedly, it was a Mediterranean yacht, a sea of designer outfits, and Meghan, centered, effortless, comfortable. The vibe isn't Suits actress on summer break. It's elite, privileged, strategic. And when that image quietly vanished from public archives right around the time she started dating Prince Harry, the internet noticed. Because if there was nothing to hide, why go through the effort of scrubbing it? Why were friends unfollowed? Why did entire timelines vanish? Why are stylists refusing interviews? And why, when asked, does Meghan act like none of it exists? Even longtime fans are starting to wonder, is this the same woman we rooted for? Or was this a performance all along? Because the Meghan we saw hugging children in Africa, speaking at women's summits, and walking away from royal protocol with her head held high, is now being overshadowed by a version of her that looks a lot more polished and a lot less sincere. In fact, she was even called a whiny, which is the opposite of the image she is trying to create.
Well, she's really damaged her own image. I mean, we've seen how privileged she is. She's living in a Montecito mansion. She's got a royal title. And all she thinks does is complain and moan about how difficult her life is.
What's worse, there are whispers that some of the men in those yacht party photos had ties to none other than Prince Andrew's circle. Now, we're not saying Meghan had any connection to that, but in a world where guilt by association spreads fast, even a shadow in the background can spark suspicion. Again, no hard proof, just proximity. But the narrative writes itself. And in this game of royal PR and social climbing, perception is everything. Behind the scenes, sources say Meghan's team is scrambling. SEO specialists are working overtime to push down old articles. Friendly outlets are being fed polished exclusives, brand photo shoots, charity photo ops, interviews with safe questions. But here's the thing. In 2025, no amount of rebranding can keep the past buried, not when the internet remembers everything. And the more Meghan pretends these photos don't exist, the more people believe they matter. This could have been a non-issue, a chapter in her life, a yes, I was there, so what? But instead of owning it, Meghan chose silence. And silence breeds suspicion. Now, even those who once admired her are side-eyeing her message. Was it ever about being real, or just about looking real? Because right now, it feels like the royal rebel we thought we knew was just another character in a carefully rehearsed performance. And as Colin Jost's joke continues to echo through the timeline, the message becomes crystal clear. The internet isn't laughing with Meghan anymore. It's laughing at her. And that might be her biggest PR nightmare yet. But what do you guys think? Did Colin cross the line? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to stick around for more.